Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got
New 52 booklet.
it! Somebody clip this one.
Welcome to Justice League Rewatch. I'm your host, Sharon. I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, brother?
You know, I think I just witnessed a miracle.
Okay, that's well done. So we are talking about the Ties That Bind episode, which, when you think about it, is kind of a double meaning for this episode, considering how it starts with Scott and Shane's. Because, all right, this story deals a lot with the New Gods. So I'm going to be going into a little bit of like backstory for you to understand what's going on here. Chief among them.
Kirby, we love you.
Oh, 100%. So who is Mr. Miracle? All right. Thousands of years ago, Darkseid and Highfather were at war with each other. And what happened was, because they recognized that if they wiped out either one, it would lead to the end of the universe. So they're like, okay, let's swap suns. So we would conceivably never invade if there's a chance our sun could get killed. So Darkseid sent Orion to New Genesis. And then Highfather sent Scott-free Mr. Miracle. And he was tortured by Big Barda. By Granny Goodness. And the reason why he became an escape artist is because every so often what he would do, he figured out how to break out of his cell, and then progressively he would go farther and farther and explore Apokalypse until he figured out a way out. Then he met Big Barda, who fell in love with him, and they escaped to Earth. So that's how they're on Earth.
I can't. It really does take a miracle to pull Gina Carano.
Yeah, I know. And by the way, yes, 100%. It's no surprise that if Big Barda ever became live action, the Snyderverse, we would love for Big Barda to be played by Gina Carano. But so, and by the way, this episode marks the first speaking role of the Flash in Justice League Unlimited. He hasn't spoken yet.
He went in and that's kind of something that I've noticed is there was we had an entire season where he didn't speak at all. Like, holy crap, he was gone for an entire season, and season 1 has been very flashless, and it's very weird, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. But here's the thing, Nick. I think it could be that they're trying to address there's too many of the original Justice Leaguers in this season, so it seems like it's just repurposed Justice League scripts.
I mean, was that not my complaint for a lot of the
exactly
episodes
my point? And this one doesn't feel like that, because yes, even though it features Martian Manhunter and the Flash, it very much is a Mr. Miracle episode.
I mean, this is a Scott, Barda, and Flash episode, I would say.
Yeah.
I would give this episode partially to the Flash. Martian Manhunter does appear, but he's kind of a bit player in it.
Yeah. By the way, this is the last appearance of Calabac in the DCAU. Played by Michael Dorn, which he kills it in this. He also played Nui in one of the Bionicle animated movies.
He's just got one of those voices that when he speaks, you just stand up and listen.
Yeah, he definitely has that tough guy, warlord voice.
He's perfect for this role. He's
perfect for Calabac, absolutely. I think he could be a pretty decent Darkseid.
Also, do you know who voices Granny Goodness in the DCAU?
Gilbert Godfrey?
Ed Asner.
Oh, Ed Asner. I thought it was this. Oh, yeah. Godfrey is a character in DC, so why would he be...
I mean, come on. Yeah. Ed Asner has kind of I love that they actually have an old man voicing Granny Goodness. I just love it. And
he also plays Daggett and Betas and Hephaestus later in this season.
But Ed Asner, it's just he's got this great voice and he does Granny Goodness right. I actually kind of consider him Ed Asner. Well, he's passed on now, rest in peace. But Ed Ed Asner is a Granny Goodness, what Kevin Conroy is a Batman. Like, literally. Like, that iconic.
Yeah, I would say that he kind of has that demented grandma voice that works for Granny Goodness that Betty White doesn't have. I'm sorry, Nick. Stop trying to make that work. There's no argument you could make that would convince me.
Future Jared, make sure to blur this out.
Yeah. I know what you're doing, Nick. I know what you're doing. But
see,
no,
that was what I like to call a troll.
It's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work because yes, she can sound.
Well, she's dead now, so.
Yeah, but I was just saying, back when she was alive, it's just like she whenever she's saying anything, she just sounds too sweet.
And that's the whole point.
No, this Granny sounds scary all the time. This Granny does not sound sweet.
No, like, to me, the whole point of Granny Goodness is she says the most demented, effed up things, but in the sweetest voice. And the thing is, Betty White has no problem saying effed up things. Like, have you heard Betty White talk dirty, but in her Betty White voice? It is the most hilarious thing.
No, I haven't, but still. But anyway, the purpose of this episode is Oberon, the manager of Mr. Miracle, is captured by Granny Goodness. There's a power struggle in Apocalypse because Darkseid has vanished. I believe they addressed this in Justice League Season 1. So that's a nice little full circle moment for this. So Granny Goodness decides. So Granny Goodness decides to use the old ways and start kidnapping people.
That is definitely the old ways. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, there you go. He will use the old ways, and that may be in the thumbnail for this episode. But and by the way, Granny Goodness did appear in the Snyderverse.
By the way, the title of this episode should be Granny Goodness Uses the Old Ways.
I'll consider that. But anyway, so I love where they show up at the Watchtower, Big Barda and Scott Free, and they're like, we need someone who's fast. And then Flash goes, I'm your guy. Someone that's fast and with an S shield on his chest. And he goes, Superman is busy with an off-world mission. He's really on a date with Wonder Woman.
So it's like, we need Superman. Okay, we have Superman at home.
It's the Flash. I would love, by the way, the way I imagine this.
The Flash is faster than Superman in terms of speed.
Yes, no, 100%. In my own headcanon, Superman and Wonder Woman are dating. It's just what happens is that Superman has to make up the excuse because he can't justify to Wonder Woman why he's going off with another warrior woman. So he's like, nope, send Flash.
Well, no, what it is he broke up with Lois. And
Wonder Woman realized that Batman is the worst person to be with.
No, but he knows that if Lois finds out he's dating Wonder Woman, she's gonna give him heck in the press.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Come on. Let's pretend here. Let's pretend.
Yes, but my point is, as this relates to Wonder Woman, that's why he's like, hey, Jean, do you have any deep space missions that Diana and I can go on so we don't have to deal with this?
Preferably with some really nice restaurants.
Preferably with like a nice secluded beach somewhere. But anyway, so they take Flash to Apocalypse, and Flash, it's basically Flash earning the respect of Big Barda because she's constantly like bad mouthing him, which is one of the most funny parts of the episode. And we also have like the Hellhounds of Apocalypse. This episode is, I'm sorry, Nick sent me something in DMs that's hilarious. I can't repeat it here, but Nick, well done. But anyway, this episode, because one of my favorite parts of DC is the New Gods lore. How I read Jack Kirby's New Gods. It's awesome. And I just love whenever DC like delves into this. It's actually one of the good Tom King books. And because it's one of my absolute favorite parts of DC. What about you, Nick?
I mean, I do find it I almost tripped my words there. I do find it fascinating. Like, I love the whole the whole royal intrigue kind of aspect of it. It's basically, this is going to be a very bad reference. It's already a bit dated. It's comic book Game of Thrones.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Hey, you don't get to say that because you haven't watched the show.
Hey, Darkseid even sits on an iron throne, so there you go. but we'll go into that. But yeah, and it is kind of like that, considering that the way Darkseid came to power is he absorbed the powers of the old gods and killed his own father, and then was exposed to the Omega effect. So it's very Game of Thronesy, but still really cool.
I mean, not really, but sure.
But I mean, this is another thing where I'm like, either DCU or Snyderverse, can we get a New Gods movie? We were supposed to get one. I want one.
I love how like DC announced New God movie, and Marvel, because they don't have any original ideas, were like, all right, we're gonna do our own New Gods movie with the Eternals. And then they canceled it, and they still went through Eternals, and like, because you know that Marvel just copies everything DC does.
Okay, I'm gonna say this tangent. I enjoyed Eternals. Well, I did, because you know what it is. It's pretty much the Justice League. There you go. But except it's not.
It is bottom of the. It is dollar store Justice League.
Dollar store, but it's still interesting to me because again, I like all those like mythological characters. Like Athena is Athena from Greece. That's how they like justify the timeline. And I find it fascinating. This group of metahumans in the comics, they're metahumans. They're not robots. The deviations from comic book lore, by the way, are my one dings on these movies. But
metahumans are DC things. So you mean they're mutants?
Well, I mean they're people with powers. They're not supposed to be robots like they were in the movie. But the thing I liked about Eternals is that it was the first Marvel movie in a while that was serious. It's not like a constant joke fest where I was like, a breath of fresh air.
Also, did you like that they're literally called out? They literally referenced Superman in the movie.
I know, I love that. That's so good.
What is it about that Marvel like references DC from time to time, but DC never references Marvel?
I don't know, because
maybe that's because DC has the more iconic characters. Suck it, Marvel fans.
Yeah, that's true. And Marvel has to constantly be like, we're relevant. We talk about Superman in our movies. Suck it.
You do too much. You're not Superman, you know. I'm sorry. I love that line.
Love that line so much. By the way, the one other line that makes me cringe, but in a good way, in that Spider-Man movie is when Peter shows up. He goes, where are all my comic books? Oh, those dreadful things. I threw those away. You could have sold those. No.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, that's my thing. But anyway, yeah. So they did do that. And the thing about it, you know, it's kind of funny. The New Gods are a better version of the Eternals. That's really what they are, because the Eternals have never been a really interesting part of Marvel. Even when Gaiman wrote them, it's just like, nah.
Well, I think it's because New Gods, I think it's a lot of it's exposure, because New Gods have kind of like that royal intrigue aspect of it, whereas the Eternals are just, we're immortal, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And
like,
plus,
there's a lot more story possibilities with New Gods than there, and plus, like, it's like, oh, we don't have to use them. We don't, like, we can do a New God story, not even have involve Darkseid. Like, that's literally what they just did.
You could. And what's kind of cool about it is that the New Gods have more interesting character designs, I think. I mean, here are my pops for Darkseid and Desaad. I mean, they have more varied, because the Eternals are basically the same character, but in different color costumes. They're like the Power Rangers, except less cool.
Power Rangers are cool.
Yeah, that's why I said less. That's why I said with the Eternals, less cool. But anyway,
and that is why I'm still on this show, because if you insult the Power Rangers, I'd be like, click.
So the episode is basically they're trying to break in. They rescue Calabac, so he can rule Apocalypse in Darkseid's stead, and then they save Oberon. But what's kind of cool is that the Flash kind of dies, but then it turns out it's Martian Manhunter, and I love Martian Manhunter with Granny Goodness. He's like, try and not think about where Oberon is,
because you know, when you tell someone not to think about something, what's the first thing they do?
They think of.
Jared, don't think about Super Wonder.
I always think about Super Wonder, so that's not exactly helping.
All right, fine. Let's try this again. Jared, don't think about the color red.
Okay, that touche, my friend. But
see, I could have trolled you by going in a different ship direction, but I like you. So.
if you had, you would find out that I have a mental block on all other ships, except for the Winter Soldier and Black Widow. That's it. But going on to
What?
Yeah, I like the Winter Soldier and Black Widow.
Okay, we're all allowed our bad ships, so go ahead.
You didn't know they dated?
Just move along.
Ed Brubaker, baby, read the run. But anyway, I love that the episode ends so innocently with Martian Manhunter going, "Hey, you want to go play a video game with me?" And then Flash goes, "I call the green one. I wanted the green. I love the green alien. I wanted the green one."
I thought that was so adorable. No, what it is the Rock'em basically the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I mean, it's a parody version of it.
Yeah,
but like that's what they play at the beginning.
I love that. I love that. That's so good. And again, I like these episodes that shows that at this point, Martian Manhunter and Flash are like buddy. I love it.
The beginning of this episode really showcases the strength of Justice League Unlimited. Is Flash is playing the Rock'em Sock'em Robots with like Elongated Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about the show is they'll just randomly throw in whoever they want. Like you don't know who's gonna show up. It's like, oh, this person just randomly showed up for a scene. It's like it really helps show like the larger world.
You should have seen me when I was first watching the show for the first time because I was like, "Who the hell are you?" It was the weirdest thing. Like, who the hell is Vigilante? He'll come in later. Who the hell is Black Canary? Before I realized she's actually a really dope character. Because remember, prior to me first seeing this show, I thought the only DC characters were Superman and Batman. I didn't know about any of these characters.
You uncultured swine.
Because I had just seen the movies.
At least you educated yourself.
Oh, well, of course. I prefer...
you have an entire wall of education behind you.
Yeah, and those are all my degrees in comic bookdom.
I love like when people say you're not a comic book fan, you literally show them your wall.
And I go, try again.
Shuts them up real quick.
Yeah, shuts up. No one has responded to me for that because I'm like, yeah, I've read everything except the ones on the shelf that are designated to read.
See, the thing is, when you show them a shelf, you probably have more comics than they do.
Most likely, yes. And it's not just me. I know we're going on a tangent, but hell, this is our obligatory reference to Zack Snyder, so I might as well. I see so many people on Twitter, so many Snyder fans. More Snyder fans read comics or got into comics because of Zack's movies than people tend to believe.
And let's be honest, most of the Snyder antis have never actually seen the movies.
They clearly haven't. Like, there was one, I was on Sammy's stream, and one of them said, and Nick, you remember Man of Steel fairly well, right?
Yeah, it's a favorite of mine.
So one of the anti criticisms is, you know how like they put the command key in Cal's ship, and that's what triggers the black hole. So one of their things is, okay, if she put the command key in Zod's ship to upload Jor-El, how was she, and she left the key there, how would she be able to put the key in the ship? And then when the Snyder fans in the panel was like, if you watch the scene, Jor-El says, retrieve the command key.
He does. He really does.
This is my problem. I got into an argument on their Death Stream because they're like, well, Jared, that's your interpretation. I'm like, that's not my interpretation. They literally say in the movie.
So who's the one?
The funny part, is I had just watched the movie for the 15th time. Like that day.
Wait, you watched it 15 times in one day? Bravo!
No, that day. No, I wish I could do that. But my point is that I had just watched the movie for the 15th time. So I was like,
Jared,
that's not right.
I have a challenge for you.
What?
You need to do a marathon stream where you just watch the Snyder Cut over and over for a 24-hour period for raising money for charity.
That would be interesting. I could consider doing that. But anyway.
Or a Snyder marathon or something, like a charity live stream.
More on that later. But anyway, the thing... So this episode, I agree with Nick before we recorded. This episode is freaking awesome. Like, it's good. I like the Flash hitting on Big Barda. I like how they had both of Big Barda's designs in this episode, and when she like activates her staff, that's when the classic Big Barda look comes on.
Yeah, it was nice.
That is so cool. So Nick, how would you rate this episode out of 10?
9.7.
0.7. That's a first 9.7.
I think I've given a few 9.7s.
I know you've given 9.5s.
Yeah, mostly. And the reason I'm doing 9.7 is I reserve 10s for like the best of the best.
Okay, that's cool. Me, it's a 10 out of 10 because I love it gets the New Gods points. I award points for Jennifer Hale and New Gods.
Well, I know a certain episode of Avatar coming up that you might award it an 11 out of 10 because let's just say the month of June will come again.
Oh, I cannot wait. So, on that note, everyone, stay heroic, and we'll be sure to see you next week when we talk about the episode entitled, this is a good one. Are you ready?
What is it?
Let me get to that. We are going to discuss, I'm just pulling this up. Hang on. For some reason, my HBO Max is glitching. Give me 1 second. We are going to be discussing the Doomsday Sanction. When a particular character shows up, this is going to be very fun. So be sure to watch that for next week. Stay work, everyone. We'll be seeing you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.